everything's fine on 93.9 Dublin South FM.
Thank you. Today we are going to talk about India's very quiet economic revolution, but it has come through many decades of hard work and persistence and has got very little to do with the politics, but then more with the vision of a few in India. We are talking about Global Capability Centers, GCC in short, and this is a wave that is sweeping all global brands across the world. So when the world speaks of India's rise in global economy, much attention is paid to its vast market, startup energy, and the demographic divide. But then, like I said, there is a quieter headline, but a very consequential transformation. India has emerged as the Global Capability Center capital of the world, the GCC capital of the world. And to everybody's surprise, it is hosting more than 50% of the world's GCC. In India alone, it is employing over 20 lakh professionals. And this is not just the story of cost cutting and the cost arbitrage that the companies are having. It's about India through the convergence, through the well thought out plans of our forefathers in developing the talent, in reforming the education system, positioning itself for the future requirements of the world. I will come to those pieces about the vision, but for now, India is going to be the backbone of global enterprise and innovation. India's story starts with Bengaluru and Hyderabad, and they have been the power centers for this GCC. So to understand what is GCC and the revolution, we have to take into account a long history of India's scientific temperament, the temples of modern India, and the focus on English. So if you remember, India was known as a hub for BPOs and the call centers. This story has changed. Global Capability Centers are fully owned part of the multinational corporations. They are an extension of the company. And unlike the BPOs, like any other companies, the GCC or these extended offices, extended offshore centers in India, they are performing high value functions like artificial intelligence development and machine language development for that company, product designs. So like in aerospace, India is designing the fuselage of many aircraft companies. They are supporting cybersecurity, financial engineering, and research and development. So with about 2,000 GCCs in India, they are contributing to about $50 billion annually to the economy of India. And in another 5 years, if the trend continues, it's going to be $100 billion. So it's going to double. And it is mostly in the space of pharmaceuticals, retail, aerospace, finance and technology, and the financial products. So there is a wide range of industry sectors which are taking the help of the Indian talent and the skill set in order to run the global business. So where did it all begin? So India's dominance didn't emerge overnight. It's a step-by-step result of vision, hard work, and a focus. And it's a product of a visionary decision which is dating back in 1947. The WhatsApp University has really demeaned the effort of India's first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, but then all credit must go to him to have a focus on science and education and creating a backbone of institutions like Indian Institute of Sciences, Indian Institute of Technology, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, ISRO, and CSIR. Also, English was never discarded. In fact, it was promoted and it retained the language of higher education and business. And this was a very practical masterstroke, I would say, that connected Indian talent to the global market. So the fundamentals of the country were very well set until 1980s with a very high potential sitting in India in the science, technology and engineering stream. It needed a spark. And in 1980s came the Rajiv Gandhi's famous IT policy. And that brought in entrepreneurs like Narayan Murthy, Azim Premji, Shiv Nadar, and the Tata Consultancy Services into the forefront of tech industry. Further, in 1991, under the government of Narasimha Rao and Dr. Manmohan Singh, India opened to foreign capital and the tech investments grew. The world found the potential in Bangalore, and in a good sense, Bangalore became India's Silicon Valley because there was a mix of readiness. The state policy run by S.M. Krishna and Ramakrishna Hegde, they brought in a high confidence in global investors. All this put together, India offered a perfect mix for the global capability centers for all the leading brands of the world, all the leading companies of the world, because it had a vast speaking, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics workforce, institutional stability in the government of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, and a strong digital infrastructure which was up to the mark at the time. So people were willing to focus, the talent was available, and the vision which was driving through since 1947, that aligned. Now that there are GCCs, the Indian offices of these large companies, apart from Bangalore and Hyderabad, these companies have started to look into tier 2 and tier 3 cities in India. And that's mostly because of the lower real estate and the operational cost in these tier 2 cities, while continuing to have the engineering and the skill talent pool. So for example, Coimbatore, it is seeing interest in engineering services, while Indore is emerging into the back end for the fintech industries. So what has changed between BPOs and the GCCs? So BPOs were outsourced and they involved tasks which these large companies didn't want to do. So they were basically low wage jobs and they were very transactional in nature. Mostly they were handling routine support like picking up the help desk call, trying to help a customer through some information, basic information. And the companies were focusing on reducing the cost in these routine work. But with the GCC, these companies have sort of Indian employees who are working from India for these global companies, and they are focused on high value and strategy work. They are into product designs, research and development, in supporting digital infrastructure. And now is the time of artificial intelligence, cloud computing. So the Indian workforce in large numbers, they are able to support these global companies. Of course, these are high paying jobs and it requires skills, and it is centered around the company's performance now and in future. So that is where there is a transition between the BPOs, which happened in the 90s up to end of the last decade, and the transformation into the global capability centers. But considering there are 20 lakh employees, 2 million employees, this is only going to go forward. As usual, there are risks. India's current education policy is not supporting this growth. And I say that with responsibility because there is a major digital skill gap. Many engineering graduates still lack industry-ready skills, especially in artificial intelligence and machine language, and in specialized skills like data analytics. The current governments, both at the center and the state, because of the overwhelming nature of this new economy, the knowledge-based economy, the urban centers like Bangalore and Hyderabad are facing rising cost, pollution, and infrastructure stresses. The roads are jammed, the travel is difficult, and the pollution is life-threatening. It is high time that the government, both at the center and in the state, join hands to overcome this constraint. Of lately, in last year and a half, there is a trend for global protectionism. The US government has taken a U-turn on globalization and is now trying to create a protective economy which may hamper the global companies to invest in India. We have seen episodes of Tesla and Apple being restricted from manufacturing in India. So there are those nationalist and protective government issues, but then we will try to cross the bridge as it comes. India has an uneven development landscape. If you see the map, the north of India is more or less excluded from this high innovative GCC culture, which is coming mostly into the south and west of India. I don't want to point out to which government is running in which non-developing states, but then of lately, when a senior minister of the central government makes comments against the English language usage, that is not a good news for a vision that is showing results to India. English cannot be sidelined. English cannot be sidelined to any regional language because it will severely weaken the India's unique global edge. Today, there are two strengths. One is the volume of skill set available. It is so easy to set up a GCC of 500 people to start with, and it can happen in matter of few months, which no other country can manage to set up in this short cycle. The second is the English speaking population. If we are going to hit these two pillars of India's transformation for any reasons of linguistic or nationalist or patriotic reasons, then it may give a sense of pride as of now, but then in the long term, it's going to severely hit hard. On the contrary, India needs to double down on English medium technical education, and especially in tier 2 and tier 3 cities of India. Like I said, both the central and the state government must modernize physical and the digital infrastructure in the underdeveloped states of the north. I'm not going to be specific to be politically correct. And align the needs of these global giants, global companies with demands of artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, research and development, and design thinking. Design thinking is the space which is going to encompass all industry sectors, be it banks, manufacturing, education, financials, everywhere. So this was a short story of GCC. While it is doing very well and it is going to double the workforce employed in another 5 years, which is phenomenal. No other country would be able to do so. We have to protect it by a vision, by a sense of responsibility in the political leadership. And the whole chain of creating billion talents right from the first level of education to the high-end university education, that has to fall in line. We cannot have disruptions on the basis of nationalism. The journey till now has not been glamorous. It has been poked with disruptions of history, but then the results have started to come in now. And it takes 75 years to actually give results to a vision that is going to shape the future of India, that is going to shape the future of how the companies across the world are going to function. India is right now sitting on the backs of English fluency. It is a recognized talent, and it has come naturally over these 75 years in India. Scientific discipline has come naturally to the education system of India, and any attempt to say that why students should only take up science and not the fine arts, that debate has to hold on for now. The world survives on science. The world survives on the platform of science. Even the fine arts, whether it is music, cinema, entertainment, event management, they all survive on the platform of science and technology. So we cannot remove the scientific bent from the education system, from the young minds of Indians. And for God's sake, India must unify its development landscape. We cannot say that all companies have to come in the south, whether it is Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, or Coimbatore, or say a little bit in west like Pune. It has to be uniform, because we cannot end up having a talented migration from state of UP and Bihar moving down south. We cannot have an uneven landscape of development, because in future, this divide of development, this divide of richness, this divide of innovation will be detrimental to the political unity of India. So the GCC that India is currently running for these global companies have serious consequences to our education, to our infrastructure, to our political unity, to India's nationalism, and also to India's growth, not just in GDP terms, but in per capita GDP growth. With those thoughts and the success story of India's talent transformation, which took its seeds way back when Indian independence was earned way back in 1947, I leave you until next week with many more consequential stories. Stay safe, stay informed, and dutifully ask questions. Bye for now.
Everything's fine on 93.9 Dublin South FM.